Hello and welcome back to the building of this rudder bug. I say building, it's actually a completion of the work started by another modeller who's no longer with us, but was obviously a very talented engineer and thinker when it came to model aircraft. And the problem he'd left was he'd started this mechanism but hadn't finished it. And I've had the opportunity, I think, to work out what he was trying to do. And I've made these nylon bearings for the pivot. And that now means that the mechanism, if you look to the rear lever, can be controlled to give you a full wing aileron effect. Now, I don't know how that'll work, and it's my intention to set this model up as a conventional 3-channel vintage model, fly it, trim it, and then get some altitude, and I'll be brave enough then to activate the mechanism and see how it works. I think I would set it up with 2 servos on a mix, so I could alter the pitch and also the roll using this mechanism alone, and we'll see how that works out. There are a few things to do. I think the model will be controlled, the control surfaces at the rear end, I'm going to control them via a continual loop or pull-pull system, as I often call it. It's light and weight, that, and it's more in keeping with the vintage look, I think. You can see that the front end is basically a blank slate. There's a pile of bits of balsa which were in the kit, none of which seem to make a great deal of sense. There isn't a matching set for the sides. You know, that's natural with this sort of thing. Over time, bits get lost. I think that's one cowl cheek, and obviously if that's the case, I can trace around it and produce another one. The engine, I have an engine in mind which is in a model that I no longer fly, and that's a C830, but it does need the bearings changed, and that's not something I've done, so I'm a little nervous about doing that. But I think that might be an ideal engine for this plane. You can see it's a bit of a beast. It has a wingspan as it stands, a little bit over the original design. It's 6 foot 6 inches wingspan. The original, I think, was 6 foot. What really impresses you when you see this plane in person is the width or the chord on the wings. It's 13 inches, which makes for a very, very big wing area. And I think that'll mean that it won't take a lot to get it into the air. The undercarriage is a trike undercarriage, and here you can see that Dick's had some troubles bending the undercarriage up. He hasn't succeeded there. He's succeeded there on the front nose leg, but that would have to be straightened out to get the wheel on. And then you're left with the situation of having an unsteerable model, which I'm not keen on, because most models need a degree of steerage. If it's a tail dragger, once the tail's off the deck, the rudder kicks in, you've got some degree of control, but it's going to be more of an issue with the trike, I think. Dick at some stage must have thought again, because this was in the box, but it's a non-steerable version. And I think if I'm going to go down this route, I'm going to go for a steerable nose assembly. I think it would just make life a lot easier. It has a rather quirky tail skid, which would be nice to add on. The original didn't have a fixed tail surface. In fact, it was rubber banded on, but I'll be making it fixed. And the other curious thing is this is in the box. It's a full set of wing ribs. I'm wondering if Dick just decided he was going to build another wing. I don't know. And all the riblets are also in the box. handy to have if I ever have to do repairs. I think I'm going to cover it in plastic film, and I know that might jar a little bit, but the relaunch of this model appeared in the 1970s, so it's acceptable. The original, of course, started life in 1949. If this mechanism works and the model survives, I may be tempted to pull the solar film off and recover it in dress lining, perhaps coloured dress lining, which would be perhaps more prototypical. But as the covering cost me very little, I bought it as a job lot. I'm not worried if I put it on, fly it for a season and then take it off again. This is the project. I've got to get the hardware and get some bits and pieces, make a decision on the engine, unless something else pops up that I might think is more suitable. So I thought I'd just update you on my thoughts on this project. If you have any comments or suggestions, chip in. I always like to hear them. And if you get the opportunity to get out there and do a bit of flying, get out there and do it. I'm standing on the plans there. If you can't get flying, get the building board out and let's get creative. It's at least 50% of the hobby. And in the UK, I spend more time building than I do flying. So it's a lot more for me. Take care, folks. Bye now.